Picture this. You're at the doctor's office with your partner for a scheduled ultrasound. The room is filled with anticipation. And then you hear it, your baby's heartbeat. And then you catch a glance on the screen of what looks like an arm, a curve of a leg, and a head. And there you go. It's your baby at 20 weeks. And then the appointment ends, and they send you home with a prescription of a prenatal vitamin and a printout of that ultrasound. The one that goes on the fridge, or on the group chat, or Instagram. Because if you didn't post it, did it happen? Maybe not. Right, because that's one way that appointment could go. Here's another one. Same room, same appointment, only this time you're blind. You still feel the cold gel, you hear the heartbeat, the moment is just as real. Then the doctor starts describing what's on the screen, and suddenly you feel his voice drifting past you, talking more to your sighted companion than you, because he's unsure how to explain a visual without pointing. Then that appointment ends too, and then they give you the same printout. But for you, it feels like a smooth, empty piece of paper, one that you cannot explore on your own, in a way that you cannot understand your pregnancy on your own terms. And the legal standard for a moment like this has already been written. The ADA, Section 504 and 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. We're talking about decades of advocacy that guaranteed equal access and effective communication to all the patients in every part of their care. But somehow, we thought our job was done once we painted the handicap parking spots and built a ramp that sometimes ends with a set of stairs. And then we forget that accessibility still matters once you're inside. And for the past year, my work has been animated by a very simple question. What does access look like behind those walls? Then at first, I started thinking of spaces that did their homework. Spaces that studied the people who walked through their doors and built around that experience. Interestingly, the best example I got was a casino. I heard it, I know how that sounds. To suggest casinos as a model of accessibility is just problematic at best. But I do think that they understand behavioral design at a level that is worth studying. Because you walk into one and you realize, or not, there are no clocks, or windows, or any form of natural lighting, which is meant to rob your subjective sense of time. Maybe you might end up there longer than you anticipated. 1 hour, 7 hours. Who's counting though? And then you navigate the space and it feels like a maze. No clear path, no clear exit. It's meant to keep you wandering, meant to keep you there longer. And then the carpets. Very bright, have intricate designs that are meant to keep your eyes busy, meant to keep you more alert, more awake. And then as you wander around, you constantly hear the sound of coins and chimes to a point where it almost creates an illusion that there is someone winning all the time. I don't know if that's true. And then some might even go as far as pumping specific aromas through the vents. And one study actually showed that it extended gaming time by 45%. And all of this is intentional. and it works. But something that I found very interesting about casinos is that they don't just cater to your needs, they anticipate it. Then they deliver an experience in a way that feels subtle, frictionless. And even when you start noticing things, that's when you realize it's already been in place since the moment you walked in. And now I'm thinking, why can't we bring that level of intentionality to accessibility? Imagine how that patient must have felt like that ultrasound appointment. Or imagine this. I know it's a blurred picture. You know there's something behind there, just don't know what it is. Maybe it might be the Wi-Fi password, because I want to know. Or the path to the closest bathroom. Or it might be how long the talk is going to be. Suddenly, feels very important. Access. And as I'm talking, I realize my own irony in this. I'm giving a talk about accessibility for blind patients to a room full of sighted people, using slides that a blind audience wouldn't be able to access. Because this is what we do. We put information out there, claim it's accessible, just because it's there. And like you've seen, access doesn't really mean anything if you don't understand it. So let's go back to that hospital. This time, it was built with a blind patient in mind, from the ground up. From the moment you walk in, it guides you. Through smell, maybe there are a row of lemon-scented trees that guides you, leads you to the entrance. Or through sound, like a sound of a fountain that marks the courtyard. Or textured walls, so you can understand the inner infrastructure. And that patient does not receive a blurry printout. They get a 3D model of their baby. When they can trace their fingers, you can see where the arm begins, the shape of their head. They can explore their pregnancy the same way you and I would. And maybe down the hall, there's another patient who's trying to understand their brain cancer diagnosis. But this time, they get a tactile brain scan made of different textures, rhinestone, silicon, rubber, all the different textures marking different structures of the brain. And another patient in a different department gets to trace their lung mass before they go into surgery. And they can understand in their own terms what gets removed and what remains. And I've met a lot of patients who lived in those intersections. A blind patient who's also battling breast cancer. Or another one who's recovering from a bone fracture. Or one who recently discovered they had a coronary artery blockage. Or another one who just recently got diagnosed with vitiligo. And each of these patients deserve to understand their diagnosis in a way they see fit. And as I was making these models, I didn't use expensive technology. Or neither did it take me years to implement this. And we're in 2025. 2025. You know, we built cars that drive themselves, send celebrities to space for fun. And somehow, I think it's clear that it's just hard to argue that accessibility is the one that's out of reach. And not just when it comes to blindness. Something I've realized working in healthcare is that there are really two types of people in the world. One living with disability, and those who have not found theirs yet. And maybe it might be something that is temporary, like you broke your leg. Or maybe that might be something that's gradual, like hearing loss. Or maybe something that is situational, like you're caring for a loved one who's sick. And the truth is, when you design, even when you design for a few, you design for everyone. Think about your electronic toothbrush, or the audiobook you've been enjoying, or the automatic doors they use for work. When we choose to design with radical intention, we design for everyone. And I hope that's the choice we'll all choose. Thank you.